Hey folks, let's dive straight into a topic that might just blow your mind. Never let a good crisis go to waste: safety versus freedom. Now it's pretty simple to chalk up the mess in the world. Think corruption, wars, poverty, and suffering to a secretive group pulling the strings. You've probably heard whispers about this so-called cabal, right? They're portrayed as masterminds behind global affairs, laying out intricate plans and chasing goals that impact every one of us. But here's the kicker. While it's easy to map out what they're doing and how they're doing it, there's this massive question mark hanging over we're all playing along. Sure, terms like ignorance, indoctrination, and programming get tossed around a lot. They explain the but, not the. Think about it. Every time there's a crisis, these power players jump into action, pushing new policies and restrictions that chip away at our freedoms. They frame it all under the guise of safety and security. And hey, who doesn't want to feel safe, right? Let's rewind to some recent crises. Remember the war on terror? Legislation was passed giving the government extra powers of control. Introduced as a necessary measures to protect us from terrorism, it also opened the door to widespread surveillance and a significant loss of privacy. And what about pandemics and other health-related crises? Governments worldwide imposed lockdowns and restrictions, all in the name of public health, but at the cost of individual liberties. So, here's the dilemma we're all grappling with: safety or freedom? It's this delicate balance, and those in power know exactly how to tip the scales in their favor. But why do we, the people, go along with it? It's not just about being uninformed or brainwashed. There's a deeper psychological game at play here. When we're scared, we crave security. And those in power know fear is a powerful tool to get us to trade our freedoms for a false sense of safety. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine if, during the next crisis, we collectively chose to question everything. What if we demanded transparency and accountability, rather than blindly accepting whatever's thrown our way? The truth is, while crises are inevitable, how we respond to them is what defines our society. Critical thinking, questioning authority, and valuing our freedoms as much as our safety might just be the keys to breaking free from this cycle. So next time a crisis hits, and they will, remember this: don't let a good crisis go to waste by sacrificing your freedom on the altar of safety. Instead, let's demand both. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more thought-provoking content. Stay curious, stay critical.
Would you like to know what the Matrix is? Welcome, family, to another edition of Stranger Thinking Media. This is Yeshayahu, where we bring you the gospel of Yahushua Mashiach to address the problems of this modern world. So stay tuned. I can only offer you the truth. Is society being traumatized on purpose? Divide and conquer. Explain. Topics covered: a divided world, more than just a bad day, how trauma isolates us. The consequences of division, trauma passed down, reclaiming our collective strength. And the grand finale: welcome to our channel. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And most of all, enjoy the show. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Yeah, so, hey, we're going to talk about, continue the conversation concerning trauma and how it's used. And it might be more to it than meets the eye. You guys, we talked about Edward Bernays and how he was used back during World War II, and he came up with methods, psychological methods, to essentially ensnare the minds of the people. What this means, we're going to try to dig into it a little bit, and we talked about it in that previous video, and this is kind of a part 2 to it, but we're going to dig a little deeper. Who is trying to brainwash us? Who is trying to control us? There are mechanisms, there are means, and then there's the source. But if you don't know the source, you're kind of at a disadvantage. So I think I want to kind of dig more into the source in this video. There's actually a gateway to the source. So I think we'll talk more about the gateway to the source. And essentially that would be governments, things we can see and things we deal with every day. But the truth is, it's something deeper.
Our world feels increasingly fractured, as if the very fabric of society is tearing apart at the seams. People are anxious, angry and distrustful, their emotions boiling over into public displays of unrest and discontent. We see conflict everywhere, from our streets to our social media feeds, where heated arguments and divisive rhetoric dominate the conversation. Is this chaos accidental? Or could it be a calculated strategy to control us? The confusion and misinformation only add to the sense of instability. The Roman Empire famously used a divide and conquer approach to maintain power, pitting groups against each other to weaken resistance. Could a similar tactic be at play today, with trauma as the weapon? Are we being manipulated through our fears and anxieties? This essay will explore the possibility that society is being intentionally traumatized to achieve control and division, examining the evidence and theories behind this idea. We will delve into the nature of trauma, its impact on individuals and relationships, and its role in societal breakdown. How does trauma affect our ability to connect and trust one another? Finally, we will consider who might benefit from such a strategy. Who stands to gain from a divided and traumatized society? The answers may surprise you. Trauma is not just experiencing something negative, it is a deeply distressing experience that overwhelms our ability to cope. It leaves us feeling powerless, afraid, and fundamentally unsafe. Trauma can stem from individual events like violence or abuse, but it can also result from larger societal events like pandemics, economic collapses, or war. These collective traumas can leave entire populations feeling vulnerable and afraid. This fear can then be exploited to manipulate our behaviors and beliefs. One of trauma's most insidious effects is its power to erode trust. When we experience trauma, we can become wary of others, even those we once felt close to. This is a natural survival mechanism, but it can have devastating social consequences. Trauma can make us question who to trust, making genuine connection difficult. This isolation further divides us, making it harder to unite and challenge those in power. Section 4. A society in pieces, the consequences of division. A society fractured by trauma is easy to control. When people are divided, they are easier to manipulate and less likely to come together for a common cause. When we are suspicious of each other, we are less likely to organize, to dissent, or to demand better from our leaders. This suspicion erodes trust, making it difficult to build strong communities. We become more susceptible to propaganda and fear-mongering, further deepening the divides between us. The media plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions, often amplifying our fears and anxieties. This breakdown in social cohesion has very real consequences. It affects our daily lives, from the way we interact with our neighbors to the overall sense of community. It leads to increased crime, political instability, and a decline in mental and physical health. The strain on public services becomes evident, with overburdened hospitals and law enforcement struggling to maintain order. A divided society is a weaker society, vulnerable to exploitation from within and without. The fractures within our communities make us easy targets for those who seek to take advantage of our disunity. Section 5. The legacy of pain trauma passed down. The true tragedy of trauma is that its effects can resonate across generations. Children who grow up in traumatized households often learn to see the world as a dangerous and unpredictable place. They may struggle to form healthy relationships and cope with stress, perpetuating a cycle of fear and dysfunction. This intergenerational trauma is not just a personal issue, it is a societal one. It creates a population primed for control, conditioned to accept hardship and distrust their neighbors. Section 6. Conclusion. Reclaiming our collective strength. The idea that our societies are being intentionally traumatized is a disturbing one. It suggests a deliberate attempt to fracture our communities and weaken our collective resolve. But it is a possibility we must confront if we want to create a more just and equitable world. We cannot turn a blind eye to the systemic issues that perpetuate this cycle of trauma. We must learn to recognize the signs of trauma, both in ourselves and in our communities. This awareness is the first step towards healing and transformation. We must reach out to each other with compassion and understanding, rebuilding the bonds of trust that have been broken. It is through these connections that we find strength and resilience. The path to healing begins with awareness. By acknowledging our pain and the pain of others, we open the door to recovery and growth. By understanding the dynamics of trauma and its impact on society, we can begin to challenge those who seek to exploit our pain. Education and dialogue are crucial in this process. Let us choose unity over division, empathy over fear, and build a world where trauma is not a tool of control but a catalyst for collective healing. Together we can reclaim our strength and create a future where everyone thrives.
He is the one. So the governments of this world are grappling with a myriad of social issues. They may be the cause of a lot of the issues we currently face. It almost seems as though they are being manipulated by an unseen hand, fostering trauma among the governed. Here are the real problems people face the world over, and it may not be what you think it is. Trust difficulties, fear of abandonment or rejection, shame and low self-esteem, identity confusion. There's a lot of that going on, for sure. Difficulty managing emotions, chronic anxiety or depression, learning and concentration issues, problem-solving difficulties, chronic stress responses, substance abuse and addictions, hypervigilance, impulse control issues. Now, these all come out of trauma. And, it's, the question is this just a normal kind of thing that every generation experiences, or is it something deeper? Like I say, there may have been experts back in the day, but never on a level that we see today. When I say experts, psychological experts who know literally how to control populations just through media, through incidences, worldwide incidences that keep us off balance. So I remember, and I don't want to go into it in detail because I don't want to get demonetized or whatever, but under certain circumstances, you just feel, if you get hit with enough crises, different ones from all directions, craziness, you feel off balance. It's almost like standing, I don't know if you've ever been in an earthquake, one of those side-to-side jobbies, but you feel unbalanced. You feel like you're dizzy. You get the sensation of dizziness, right? Even though you're not dizzy, but when the earth moves, your brain literally cannot grapple with that, and it creates a sensation of it's not the earth, it's you. And you start having this sensation of dizziness or unstableness, even though you're stable. So that's kind of what's going on. At least it appears so to me. So you have all these things happening worldwide. Now the question is, we see the vehicle, but what's the source of this, and why would this be? Why would someone want to traumatize us? It's kind of crazy. So these are all spiritually based issues that have a hold over humanity through disobedience to the word of the Most High. There are forces at work driving us to extinction, invisible forces. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12. The world's governments are under the sway of these forces and are the witting or unwitting vehicles for these unseen spiritual forces. Now, that's a mouthful there. But think of it. You cannot fight these forces if you don't believe they are there, even though it's kind of obvious that they're there, but the deception is so great. So that's where we are right now. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Yes, there are spiritual forces coming against us. And we may be able to point at a man, and I'm thinking of one right now, or individuals, but they're being manipulated. They were put in power just for this purpose. And we tend not to understand that it's more than just a mortal man at work. So look at people in Hollywood. They get put up in the ranks because they're witting and eager vessels. You know, P. Diddy. You know, and these people are the ones they put out on the media and have you idolizing them. Idolizing what? Look at what they're doing. Anyway, we're gonna end it on this note. Farewell. I love you all so much, and thank you for continually supporting my content. If you did enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And share this with your friends and family. I'm sure they find it interesting as well. And I'm very excited to continue this journey with you. I thank you all for bringing certain stories to my attention and for continually keeping me updated with certain events around the world. I love you all so much. I appreciate you all. And shout out to the channel members. And may everybody have a beautiful and blessed day who's in the body of Messiah Yahusha HaMashiach. And I'll see you all on the next video. Shalom. And remember, yeah, Yahusha is Yahweh. I'm seeing a lot of videos against that, but we'll address that one again too.